Jake wiped the sweat from his forehead as he leaned over the engine of a battered sedan in his small Chicago garage. The rain outside tapped softly against the windows, casting a dim, reflective light on the grease-stained floor. Life had never been easy for him. Long hours, low pay, and constant financial struggle were a part of his daily routine. Yet despite the hardships, Jake found satisfaction in fixing what others deemed impossible. He prided himself on his hands and his mind, believing that every problem had a solution if one persisted long enough. Tonight, the garage was quiet, save for the occasional drip of water and the soft hum of a faulty radiator. The sound of tires splashing through puddles outside broke Jake's focus. Looking up, he noticed a young girl struggling with her wheelchair on the slippery sidewalk. Her hands gripped the wheels tightly as she fought to maintain balance on the steep curb. Beside her, a woman in a business suit hovered, anxiously, her eyes darting from the girl to the street. Jake's instincts kicked in immediately. Without a second thought, he grabbed his coat and ran toward them, slipping slightly on the wet pavement, but regaining his footing. He reached the girl and gently lifted the wheelchair over the curb, ensuring she felt secure. The girl, Lily, looked up at him with wide, startled eyes. Despite her struggle, there was a quiet strength in her gaze, a resilience that spoke of years of facing challenges no one should have to endure. Her mother, Victoria, thanked Jake. Repeatedly, her voice trembling as she explained Lily's condition. She was 19, born with a rare leg disorder that had left her unable to walk. Over the years, they had seen countless specialists and tried numerous treatments, yet nothing had provided real improvement. Now, standing in the rain-soaked street, Victoria felt a flicker of hope she hadn't experienced in years. Jake knelt beside the wheelchair, examining it carefully. He asked Lily a few questions, softly, trying to gauge her comfort level and pain points. She answered hesitantly, but her trust in him grew with each moment. Victoria watched silently, amazed at the mechanic's gentle manner, so unlike the hurried, indifferent people they often encountered in medical offices. Jake's hands moved over the wheelchair, noting the adjustments that could be made, thinking of ways to reduce strain on Lily's legs while maximizing support. His mind raced with possibilities, even as the rain continued to soak his coat. "You have a rare situation here," Jake said finally, standing up and wiping his hands on a rag. "But I think we can make some improvements. It won't be overnight, but with some modifications I believe your daughter can gain better mobility." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She had heard such promises before from doctors, engineers, and therapists, but none had delivered. The sincerity in Jake's voice combined with the confident, practical approach he took made her want to believe. For the first time in years, hope seemed tangible rather than distant. Lily shifted in her wheelchair, curiosity replacing her initial apprehension. She had always been cautious around strangers, especially those who offered solutions too good to be true. But Jake didn't seem like a stranger who cared about fame, money, or recognition. He seemed focused solely on her, observing every detail and asking thoughtful questions. Slowly, she reached out her hand, and Jake shook it gently, reinforcing a sense of partnership rather than pity. Victoria, standing nearby, marveled at the connection forming between them. Something about Jake made her feel that maybe, just maybe, her daughter's life could change. Over the next few days, Jake began working on modifications for Lily's wheelchair in his garage. He studied diagrams, reviewed online resources, and sketched ideas late into the night. Victoria visited frequently, watching as Jake experimented with different supports, wheels, and balance mechanisms. The garage, once a place of purely mechanical labor, transformed into a laboratory of hope and innovation. Lily observed quietly at first, then began offering suggestions based on what felt comfortable. Her involvement became crucial. Her small insights guided Jake's adjustments. Victoria couldn't help but feel gratitude and admiration for the mechanic who had taken her daughter's struggle personally. One evening, after hours of careful tinkering, Jake invited Lily to try the modified wheelchair. The rain had cleared, leaving a soft, damp glow on the streets. Outside, with cautious excitement, Lily placed her hands on the wheels and began to move. At first it was slow, awkward, but smoother than anything she had experienced before. Victoria held her breath, her heart racing as tears filled her eyes. Jake stayed close, guiding and encouraging without overstepping. A sense of possibility hung in the air, fragile yet exhilarating. Lily's small victories filled the room with an energy Victoria hadn't felt in years. By the end of that week, Jake had made additional improvements to the wheelchair, each adjustment giving Lily slightly more independence. Her confidence grew, her laughter returned, and the bond between the mechanic and the family strengthened. Victoria often stood to the side, watching in awe as her daughter experienced mobility in a way she never had before. Jake never sought praise, only satisfaction in seeing Lily's progress. In a small Chicago garage, surrounded by tools, oil stains, and the lingering smell of metal, hope was reborn. And in that moment, all three, mechanic, mother, and daughter, felt the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Jake spent the next morning organizing his garage, preparing tools and spare parts he thought might help Lily. He reviewed his sketches from the night before and adjusted some measurements, thinking carefully about how her legs would bear weight without strain. Victoria arrived, her eyes bright with cautious hope. She watched as Jake explained his plan, detailing how the custom supports, cushions, and reinforced wheelchair frame would work together. Lily listened quietly, her hands brushing against the polished metal edges of the wheelchair as Jake demonstrated adjustments. The air was filled with anticipation, as though everyone present sensed that these small steps could lead to monumental change. Jake began by fine-tuning the leg supports. Using soft padding and precise angles, he designed a system to reduce pressure on Lily's joints while allowing controlled movement. He tested each adjustment personally, carefully asking Lily for feedback on comfort. She hesitated at first, unsure of how it might feel, but soon relaxed as the mechanism responded smoothly. Victoria stood by, her heart swelling with relief. She had seen so many medical devices fail to accommodate her daughter, but Jake's approach was different. It combined practicality, empathy, and innovation. For the first time, she felt genuine hope for Lily's mobility. Next, Jake focused on the wheelchair's wheels and balance system. He experimented with traction, resistance, and the angle of rotation to make it easier for Lily to propel herself while maintaining stability. Each small adjustment was followed by careful testing. As Lily moved cautiously across the garage floor, Jake encouraged her, guiding her movements while observing every detail. Lily's confidence grew incrementally, her hands gripping the wheels more firmly, her posture straighter than it had been in years. Victoria couldn't hide her tears, silently marveling at her daughter's determination and Jake's skillful care. The atmosphere in the garage had shifted from tense to hopeful. As the days passed, Jake introduced simple exercises to strengthen Lily's legs. Using elastic bands, gentle stretches, and controlled weight-bearing techniques, he designed routines that were safe, yet effective. Lily followed his instructions diligently, motivated by the first glimpses of progress. Victoria recorded the sessions on her phone, marveling at each small step her daughter took. She couldn't believe how much a dedicated mechanic, with no formal medical training, had contributed to Lily's improvement. Yet Jake's intuition, patience, and problem-solving ability proved that sometimes the right guidance could come from unexpected places. One rainy afternoon, Lily managed to bear weight on her legs for the first time with Jake's support. The garage was filled with the sound of her tentative steps, the squeak of the wheelchair, and Victoria's muffled sobs of joy. Jake guided her, gently, his hands steadying her while Lily's face lit up with amazement. Each step was unsteady, but the progress was undeniable. Victoria reached out, holding her daughter's hands and whispering encouragement. Tears streamed down her cheeks, a mix of relief, gratitude, and disbelief. For years, she had feared Lily's condition was permanent. Now, hope was tangible. Encouraged by these results, Jake fine-tuned the exercises and wheelchair modifications. He introduced controlled movements, balance drills, and small endurance routines that pushed Lily gently without risking injury. Each day, she grew stronger, able to support more weight and move with slightly more confidence. Victoria was amazed by the consistency of Jake's methods. Unlike previous specialists, he wasn't rushing results or making unrealistic promises. Instead, he measured every small improvement, celebrated every tiny victory, and allowed Lily to progress naturally. The bond between them deepened, rooted in trust, respect, and shared determination. Word of Jake's dedication and Lily's progress spread quietly through the neighborhood. Neighbors stopped by, curious about the transformation unfolding in the small garage. Some brought supplies or offered encouragement, while others simply watched in awe. Jake welcomed the support but remained focused on Lily. Victoria, meanwhile, realized that wealth and connections could not replace genuine care and expertise. She marveled at the mechanic who had become her daughter's mentor, friend, and inspiration. The small victories in the garage resonated far beyond the walls, symbolizing the power of human kindness and perseverance. One evening, after weeks of careful practice, Lily stood unassisted for several seconds. The moment was electric. Victoria gasped, unable to contain her tears, and Jake smiled quietly, proud but humble. The garage, filled with the scent of oil and metal, now held laughter, hope, and amazement. Lily's confidence soared, and she began to try small steps without support. Each attempt strengthened her legs and her spirit. Victoria realized that this was not just a mechanical fix, it was a life-changing journey. The bond between them had become a partnership built on resilience, trust, and shared triumphs. By the end of Part 2, Lily had gained measurable independence. Her wheelchair was now a finely tuned instrument of support, and her legs were stronger than ever. Victoria hugged Jake, overwhelmed with gratitude, while Lily's smile reflected newfound freedom. They all understood that this was just the beginning, yet the progress they had achieved felt miraculous. In a modest Chicago garage with tools, determination, and unwavering compassion, a young girl's hope had been restored. Jake's dedication had bridged the gap between struggle and possibility, proving that even the simplest acts of skill and care could create extraordinary change. The morning sunlight streamed through the garage windows, casting a warm glow on the polished metal and scattered tools. Lily, now standing with a sense of cautious pride, prepared for another session with Jake. She had progressed steadily over the past weeks, but today was different. Jake encouraged her to take independent steps without the wheelchair for support. Victoria hovered nearby, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The room was silent, except for the faint hum of the city outside, as though the world itself paused to witness this pivotal moment. Lily took a deep breath and positioned herself carefully. With Jake beside her, hands hovering just in case, Lily lifted one leg and placed it forward. She wobbled slightly, but the reinforced leg supports and prior exercises allowed her to stay upright. Victoria's eyes brimmed with tears as she whispered encouragement, marveling at her daughter's courage. Jake's steady presence offered reassurance without intrusion, giving Lily the space to gain confidence. Step by step, she moved across the garage floor, her movements shaky but determined. The small victories built quickly into bigger ones, and the atmosphere filled with hope and triumph. Each step marked the beginning of a new chapter in Lily's life. Jake clapped softly as Lily completed her first round of independent steps. She beamed, her face glowing with disbelief and joy. Victoria rushed forward, wrapping her arms around her daughter, holding her close as tears streamed down both their faces. Lily laughed between sobs, overwhelmed by the realization that she could finally stand and move with her own strength. Jake smiled quietly, proud of the transformation, but careful not to overshadow Lily's accomplishment. In that garage, surrounded by tools, oil stains, and the faint scent of metal, a miracle had quietly unfolded, not through medical miracles, but through skill, dedication, and relentless compassion. Over the following days, Lily's confidence soared. She practiced walking longer distances with minimal support, gradually moving away from relying entirely on her wheelchair. Jake adjusted her leg supports and refined exercises to match her, increasing strength. Victoria, often observing quietly, felt immense gratitude for the mechanic whose knowledge and perseverance had surpassed all previous interventions. She realized that hope was not just about medical expertise, it was about attention, patience, and belief in someone's potential. Lily's laughter filled the garage as she walked further each day, and her mother's tears of joy became a regular part of the sessions. Jake encouraged Lily to challenge herself, introducing simple obstacles to improve balance and coordination. Lily learned to step over small objects and navigate around corners without hesitation. Each success bolstered her confidence, while Jake ensured safety remained a priority. Victoria watched, awestruck, as her daughter's world expanded with each step. The bond between the three grew stronger, rooted in trust, patience, and shared triumphs. Lily's transformation became a symbol of what determination and care could achieve. She had moved from reliance to independence, from doubt to belief, and the joy radiating from her was contagious to everyone who witnessed it. The community began to take notice. Neighbors and friends heard about Lily's progress and offered congratulations, marveling at the unlikely hero behind it all, a humble mechanic who had dedicated himself to helping a young girl walk again. Jake never sought recognition, focusing instead on the next step in Lily's journey. Victoria, however, could not contain her gratitude. She ensured Jake knew the profound impact he had made on her family, though he insisted the true reward was seeing Lily regain her mobility and independence. The garage, once a simple workspace, had become a place of hope, laughter, and transformation. One afternoon, Jake guided Lily outside to the sidewalk for her first walk beyond the garage. The city's sounds were louder, the pavement uneven, and the environment unpredictable. Yet, with Jake supporting lightly and Victoria nearby, Lily took confident steps, navigating obstacles with skill she had never known. Pedestrians paused to watch, amazed at the young woman walking steadily without assistance. Each step represented months of hard work, dedication, and trust. Victoria felt a surge of pride and relief as her daughter moved confidently through the streets of Chicago, no longer defined by her disability, but by her resilience and determination. By the end of the week, Lily could walk independently for short distances, with only occasional support from Jake or her mother. Victoria's emotions overflowed as she witnessed a transformation she had long dreamed of. The moment was not just physical, it was emotional, spiritual, and deeply profound. Lily's confidence radiated, her laughter infectious, and her spirit renewed. Jake, observing quietly, felt satisfaction unlike anything else. He had helped her reclaim independence, but more importantly, he had shown that empathy, creativity, and dedication could achieve what conventional methods could not. It was a testament to human perseverance and care. As the story of Lily's recovery spread, it inspired others facing similar challenges. The once quiet garage became a symbol of hope, illustrating that extraordinary change often comes from ordinary people willing to give their time, skill, and heart. Victoria hugged Jake one last time, overwhelmed with gratitude, while Lily, now walking, confidently held her mother's hand. They all knew that life had changed irrevocably. Through compassion, innovation, and relentless determination, a young girl had reclaimed her mobility, a mother had witnessed her miracle, and a humble mechanic had left an indelible mark on their hearts.